This video is about a rich dad and a poor dad. This book is a great bestseller with a total of 28 million copies sold worldwide. It summarizes how to get rich and the rules of money. In today's video, we will put together the 3 rules to get rich. Rules for getting rich. 1. Don't be a slave of fear. First of all, many people work for money. People are afraid that they cannot live without money. People feel happy when they have money because they can buy what they want. But the problem is that many people are dominated by fear of no money and work without thinking. For example, you still have a credit card payment you have to return your home or car loan to the bank. In addition, living expenses and rent are also required. That's a common story. And many people work desperately because they are afraid to have no money in this situation. They believe that increasing their income will eliminate this fear. As a result of your hard work for 5 years, your salary has finally risen a little, you will rent a cleaner house and buy a better car. But when you raise your living standards like that, you'll lose the extra salary you get from repayment of the loan. After all, you realize that your free money is not increasing. Then would you work hard to increase your salary? 5 years later, the salary increases a little, but the rent and expenses for children's education also increase. After all, the problem of money will not be solved forever. This cycle is the rat race that the author Robert Kiyosaki says. No matter how much the hamster runs, the wheel keeps going around the same spot. Once you get into the rat race, no matter how much you work, you can't get out. 40 years later, you finally find yourself working as a slave of fear every day. And you wonder why you were struggling with money all the time, even though you had a decent income. This is the pattern of most people's lives. Many people fall into this rat race because they are afraid of having no money. But if you really want to be rich, don't let fear make the decision. It is important to think and act with your own head. It does not act in response to fear of having no money. Observe horror objectively. Think of ways other than working hard. What is the best way to get rich from Robert Kiyosaki? It is to devote life to buying assets. And for that, it is important to know the difference between assets and debt. Robert Kiyosaki points out that only the rich understand the real difference between assets and debt. The definition of assets and debt by the rich means that assets generate income and debt pay. So, by this definition, my home is a debt. Homes pay money every month, such as mortgages, property taxes, maintenance fees, and utility bills, so they are debts, not assets. And importantly, the rich get their assets. Below the middle class is to get debt and assume it is an asset. This is the only difference between the rich and the rest. To illustrate this, let's look at the flow of money below the middle class. The first is labor. You work hard for the company and get paid for it. Then you can use that salary to pay for mortgages, car loans, etc. You pay debts and get deprived of money from banks. The government also steals money in the name of taxes. In this way, the government and the banks take away money. And the remaining money pays their living expenses and unpaid credit cards. After that, the wallet will be empty. This is the middle class or lower. People below the middle class work for the company president, for the bank, for the government, and have little free money to spend on their own. When people buy a car or a house because their salary has increased, money is robbed every month from banks. As incomes increase, so do taxes paid for the government. If you increase your income in this way, you will increase the amount of money you can get to others. So what are the rich people doing? Next we look at the cash flow of the rich. First, they make money and spend money for themselves. That is the formation of assets. First, create assets that put money in your wallet, such as stocks and bond real estate. Second, minimize the debt you pay to banks, such as mortgages and car loans. Similarly, the tax paid to the government is greatly reduced by creating a company and reducing it as expenses. And the first asset you make produces income in the form of dividends, interest, and rent income. Rich people make new assets by increasing their income. And that asset creates more money, and creates a mechanism for money to flow in without doing anything. Rich people first make assets when buying luxury goods such as homes and cars. They buy what they want with the money that comes in from assets. On the other hand, people below the middle class take out loans and are deprived of money every 30 years and every month thereafter. In this way, rich people fight by rules that they can win by continuing to form assets. Buying an asset is, after all, investing. I think that is a big risk and many people are scared. However, if you lose your fear here, you will become a fear slave who just works for money without thinking. So the last rule of getting rich that is important here is to follow the rules of the bicycle. In order to ride a bicycle, you must first ride a bicycle. For example, studying how to ride a bicycle in a book doesn't make it possible to ride a bicycle. In order to be rich, you must first create assets. However, many people give up before actually trying out because investing is so risky that they cannot do it. So the first important thing is to get started and try riding a bicycle. Of course, you may fall and get hurt at first. But unless you try and fail, improve and repeat the challenge cycle, you will not be able to ride a bicycle. This is the rule for bicycles, the rule for money. Therefore, it is very important to create assets first. If you want to study tax, try to file your own tax return. If you want to know about stocks, it is very important to buy a little. And as you create and manage your assets, you realize what you need to know. And you will learn more about money. That way, you only need to continue the cycle of improvement until you feel as if it were a sport. So, instead of just reading a book or wanting to be rich and not satisfied, start with making small assets. Please start by taking action. In this channel, you will find useful information for your life. Carefully select only useful information. It will be updated once a week. Please look forward to it. If you are interested, please subscribe to the channel. Pray for your life to be wonderful. Let's see you again.